The following program is a presentation of Comcast Metro Beat TV, your TV. Comcast in your city, connecting you to the Denver metro area.
It's a television series for and about people who are passionate about books. Meet best-selling authors from around the nation and around the block. For a unique and fascinating look at the world of literature, welcome to Inside the Cover.
We caught up with Dave when he was in town pitching his latest book, Dave Barry's Money Secrets. Now, there certainly are plenty of books on the market touting financial advice. And what, you may ask, does Dave Barry know about money? Well, he believes his new book fills a void in the marketplace.
And I looked at those books, and they all have one major flaw. None of the royalties go to me.
I learned from watching Dad die that it is not death I fear, as much as it is dying with unresolved regrets about things not done. This realization is determining how I am living my third act. If I want Vanessa to have sweet dreams, I have to work on that now, and I am. If I want to leave my family stronger for my having lived, that is also something I have to work on now.
I am your beloved Count Olaf.
We wanted to talk to the real Lemony Snicket, but he's quite an elusive fellow. We thought we'd catch up with him at a scheduled appearance at the Temple Event Center in Denver, but we were apparently misled.
I know he was supposed to be here. It was scheduled. But I'm afraid the sad truth is that the truth is sad, and that Mr. Snicket is not here this evening.
When Daniel Handler set off to write a series of children's books, he created a bit of a dilemma for himself. He invented a character who was also the author of the book. When his publisher asked how a fictitious character could make the obligatory author appearances, he had to give it some thought.
And so I went and heard another children's author speak to children, and she talked about her desk and her house and how she got up every morning and she went upstairs and wrote, and she told me afterward that she liked to dispel the mystery behind writing. And I thought, well, why on earth would you want to dispel the mystery behind writing? The mystery of writing is that there's someone sitting at a desk making stuff up. That's not interesting at all. And so I just thought it would be more fun to increase the mystery of writing by going out in front of a group of children and telling vicious lies, which is something that children are used to and something that I enjoy doing.
The genesis of Conservatives Without Conscience was in the mid-1990s during a series of conversations Dean had with retired Senator Barry Goldwater.
The senator and I were going to do it as a joint authorship project. It was in the conversation with him where he said, John, I think the conservative conscience has somehow gotten lost in all this.
Diane Mott Davidson has written more than a dozen best-selling books featuring Goldie Schultz, a caterer who lives in Aspen Meadow, Colorado. But most locals know that Aspen Meadow bears a striking resemblance to Evergreen, Colorado. Evergreen Lake is one of Diane's favorite places to get inspiration for her murder mysteries.
Well, Evergreen Lake really is central to our little town because of all the activity that takes place here. And then I use it in the books because it's a place to bury bodies.
When Sandra Dallas gets ready to write a book, the first thing she does is to get out of the house. She needs to physically connect with the environment of her story. Historic Georgetown, Colorado is one of her favorite places to absorb a sense of place and of time.
I want a patina of history and of place in my novels. So what I love to do is to go someplace and walk down the streets. It's like you're walking into the past. You should wear a cowboy hat.
It's another day at the office for Boyd Norton. He's leading a wilderness photography expedition in Tanzania. Today the agenda is lions, elephants, and cheetahs. But on another day, his office may be in Alaska, or Chile, or Siberia. In addition to leading expeditions, he's written and photographed more than a dozen books, including books on African elephants, mountain gorillas, Alaska, and Siberia's Lake Baikal, to name a few.
Kid behind the bar was in his early 20s. Looked as if he'd never had a drink in his life. There was only one other customer, a souse on a bar stool with his back to the door. He had a pile of dimes stacked neatly in front of him, about $2 worth. He was drinking straight rye in small glasses. He was all by himself and in a world of his own. I sat farther along the bar and got my glass of beer and said, "You sure cut the clouds off of them, buddy. I will say that for you." "Oh, we just opened up," the kid said. "Gotta build up trade." "You've been in before, haven't you, mister?" "Uh-huh." "Live around here?" "In the Berglund Apartments across the street," I said. "And the name's Philip Marlowe."
"What?" he cried aloud in the anguish of his spirit. "What shall I, who have not a shade of superstition in my nature, I, who have no belief in immortality, I, who know, and never more clearly than now, that the afterlife is the dream of a desire, shall I lose at once my bet, my honor, and my self-respect, perhaps my reason, because certain savage ancestors dwelling in caves and burrows conceived the monstrous notion that the dead walk by night, that distinctly, unmistakably, Mr. Jarrett heard behind him a light, soft sound of footfalls, deliberate, regular, successively nearer.
And I gotta say that aside from Mary Poppins, maybe my favorite family movie, this is a movie that says the word family more than any other movie I know, is The Godfather. That is a family.
You spend time with your family?
Sure I do.
Good. Because a man that doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
Westerns, I think, are really about America in all sorts of ways. So there's a film like The Grapes of Wrath, which is set in the West, and it's about things that happen in the West that are unique to the West, but it's also about migration and water and what do we do with the land. I think that's a Western.
Well, there she is, folks. The land of milk and honey.
Like Louise Erdrich, Barbara Kingsolver is one of the favorites here at the store. It's hard to know if people love her more than they love her writing. She's just great. Bean Trees is her first book. It follows a character who basically moves from Kentucky to Arizona. Along the way, she, basically a 3-year-old Native American girl, kind of falls into her lap, and they kind of figure out life together after that in Arizona.
I chose a book from Cormac McCarthy, very great contemporary Western writer. It's the first part of a trilogy. It's called All the Pretty Horses, and it tells in vivid detail the story of one young man's journey south of the Rio Grande. Cormac McCarthy really is the go-to guy, I think, for contemporary Western authors. Anyway, Derek Holland from the Tattered Cover, as always, you come through, and thank you for your recommendations today.
Thank you.
If you want to find out more about Derek's picks or any of the books featured on today's show, just go to our website at metrobeat.tv and click on Inside the Cover. And while you're there, tell us what you think. I'm Brett Saunders. See you next time for another edition of Inside the Cover.